Hey folks, want to come on here and shoot a quick episode of the podcast. For those of you who don't know, I'm based in Sydney, Australia. If anyone's around for a beer, coffee, sea swim or walk, feel free to reach out. It's been under a month now. Also playing a bit of rugby union, seeing how that goes. That said, it is January and wanted to talk about the concept of 1% better every day. I was in the Central Business District last week, also known as the CBD, and there's a company called Lululemon Athletica Inc., or also known as Lululemon, which we'll briefly talk about. Lululemon Athletica Inc. is a Canadian-founded premium athletic apparel retailer specializing in technical gear for yoga, running, training, and lifestyle, commonly known for pioneering the quote athleisure, end quote, founded in 1998 in Vancouver by Chip Wilson. It has expanded to a global brand offering high quality clothing for men, women, focusing on movement, comfort, and to some extent a mindful, healthy living community. Key details about Lululemon product line: offers apparel, leggings, tops, jackets, accessories, bags, mats, hats, footwear, and personal care. Market position: considered a premium brand with higher price points, often justified by product quality, durability, and versatility. Brand philosophy: originally started as a design studio by day and yoga studio by night, focusing on creating community hubs for fitness and mindfulness. Expansion: while known for women's yoga wear, they have significantly expanded into men's apparel and other sports. Business model: operates through a mix of physical stores and a strong e-commerce presence. They recently sponsored the Canadian Olympic team as well. Lululemon. I'm going to leave that in, maybe. Excuse me. Lululemon became the official outfitter for Canadian Olympic and Paralympic teams on September 23, 2021. The partnership began with the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics and runs through the 2028 Los Angeles Games, replacing the Hudson's Bay Company. Key details of the partnership: games covered Beijing 2022, Paris 2024, Milano Cortina 2026, and Los Angeles 2028. Apparel: Lululemon designs the clothing for the opening ceremony, closing ceremony, and podium. Expansion: the deal includes support for both Olympic and Paralympic athletes. This multi-year partnership spans 4 Olympic and Paralympic cycles. By the way, this is not a sponsored podcast by them, but I'm pretty sure I saw outside the stores 1% better every day. So I thought I'd talk about the concept. I find it super interesting. We'll try and make it a business context as much as possible. Seeing it's the first month of the year, why not get into it? The mindset goes hard. This is on ChatGPT with a bicep emoji, or 1% better every day compounds into wild progress. Quiet, unsexy, unstoppable. Not sure why they use that term, but let's get into it. If you want to make it practical, not just motivational wallpaper, here's a simple way to live it. Shrink the goal. What is the tiniest upgrade today? 5 extra minutes, 1 cleaner rep, 1 honest convo. Never miss twice. Off days happen. Spirals are optional. Track something stupid simple. A check mark beats a perfect system. Stack the wins, same time, same trigger every day. In a year, you're not, quote, a little better, end quote, you're a different person. I suppose that can apply to a business as well, and many other aspects of life. Let's talk about it on what comes up on Gemini. The power of 1% daily improvement. The concept of getting 1% better every day is a powerful principle of continuous improvement, often referred to as the power of tiny gains. While it sounds like a small margin, the math behind it is staggering due to the effects of compounding. The mathematics of growth: if you improve by just 1% better, or 1% every day for an entire year, you don't just become 3.65 times better, because each day's growth builds on the previous day's progress. The result is exponential. The formula for compounding effect is this: bracket 1 plus 0.01 end bracket to the power of 365 approximately equals to 37.78. By the end of 1 year, you will be roughly 38 times better than when you started. Conversely, if you get 1% worse every day, you decline nearly to zero. bracket 1 minus 0.01% m bracket to the power of 365 approximately equals to 0.03. Why this approach works: reduces overwhelm. Trying to change everything at once usually leads to burnout. Focusing on a, quote, 1% shift, end quote, feels manageable and sustainable. Focus on systems, not goals, as James Clear, and this is the author of Atomic Habits, which is a great book, argues, quote, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, end quote. Builds momentum. Small wins trigger the brain's reward system, making it easier to stick to the habit the next day. How to apply the 1% rule. Area the 1% action: health. Instead of a 2-hour workout, walk for 10 minutes or drink 1 extra glass of water. Learning: read 2 pages of a book instead of scrolling social media before bed. Productivity: spend the first 5 minutes of your day clearing your inbox or planning one, quote, must do, end quote, task. Finances: I'm not a financial advisor. Automate a tiny saving of $5 a week. The plateau of latent potential. This is interesting. The hardest part of the 1% rule is that you don't often see results immediately. This is known as the, quote, valley of disappointment, end quote. You are doing the work, but the results are hidden. However, once you cross a certain threshold, the compounding effect becomes visible and the growth explodes. Quote, success is the product of daily habits, not a once-in-a-lifetime transformations, end quote. And then perplexity. In business, in business, the, quote, 1% better every day, end quote, is about building a system of continuous compounding improvement in how you sell, serve customers, and run operations, rather than waiting for big transformation projects. Core idea in business: focus on tiny, low-cost changes to process, people, and systems that you can sustain daily or weekly, not just occasional massive restructures. Over time, those marginal gains compound into very large performance differences in efficiency, quality, and customer satisfaction. That's interesting, yeah. Where to apply 1% gains. Operations: remove one small bottleneck, eliminate a handoff, or simplify a form so work flows slightly faster each week. Sales and marketing: tighten a script, A/B test one email subject line, or improve one element of a landing page at a time. Customer experience: reduce response times by a small amount, streamline onboarding steps, or tweak store/website layout based on observed friction. Practice a practical mechanism. I won't really, maybe we'll get into this a bit, but it's kind of may go over my head, so it may go over your head. Kaizen tools: use simple frameworks like PDCA, plan, do, check, act to test small changes, measure impact, and standardize what works. Apply 5S: sort, sell in order, shine, standardize, sustain to keep workplace. Yeah. Culture and leadership angle: make improvement every day's job by encouraging staff to suggest small fixes in the front line, actually. Yeah, but I suppose an example of a day, just weekly rhythm, excuse me, the sounds in the background. Daily: ask, quote, what one small change would make this task, meaning process 1% better, end quote, and implement at least one concrete tweak. Weekly: review a key metric, cycle time, conversion rate, NPS, and run one small experiment aimed at nudging in the right direction. Yeah, kind of. Don't mean to seem so, yeah, but I think there's more interesting things that we can discuss about the self and focusing it and using it on oneself, then applying it to a business context. Let's go into this. I think we're good for time. We're just under 15 minutes. Here's the one thing most people miss about 1% better every day is that consistency beats intensity always. Doing a tiny improvement every day, even when it feels pointless, will outperform big bursts of motivation that don't last. The magic isn't the 1%, it's, and there's a hyphen, it's showing up when it doesn't feel worth it. Miss a day, fine, quit the system, that's the real loss. If you remember only one line, make it this: small wins done daily turn into unfair advantages. Yeah, I think that's fascinating, but I love the line, consistency beats intensity always. So doing things every day and getting that 1% better with the power of tiny gains over time beats a massive intense burst. Consistency beats intensity always. Super interesting. And yeah, hope you got something from the podcast. I think I covered most things. It's a long weekend here in Australia. Let me just talk about this for a sec. Going a bit off topic, but it is now the 23rd of January and Australia Day is on the 26th of January, Australia's National Day. In one breath, it marks the arrival of the First Fleet in 1788 and the start of the British colonialisation, celebrated with public holidays, barbecues, fireworks and citizenship ceremonies, but also controversial because for many Indigenous Australians it represents invasion and loss, not celebration. That tension, celebration versus reflection, is why it's such a big conversation every year. Thought I'd bring that up. Yeah, so I hope everyone that's listening has a lot of fun if they're in Australia, or if they're celebrating Australia Day, or for some that are maybe having conversations on that day. I want to make sure that I'm new to this country, so I want to make sure that I'm learning about it, and that there's, and understand that there's big conversation every year around this topic. So yeah, thanks for listening, folks. If you have any feedback or questions, feel free to reach out. My email is ryanwconlon@gmail.com, and I hopefully getting a guest on next week, which is super exciting. Can't wait. And yeah, to go back to the 1% every day, remember that consistency beats intensity. Just doing something, doing a tiny improvement every day, even when it feels pointless, will outperform big bursts of motivation that don't last. The magic isn't the 1%, it's showing up even when it doesn't feel worth it. Miss a day, fine, quit the system, that's the real loss. If you remember only one line, make it this: small wins done daily turn into unfair advantages. Thanks for listening, folks.